Equal pay for equal work. I used to work in a medical lab and all of my teammates were male and I am female. I did almost twice as much as anyone else and got paid less than anyone else in the same position in the entire lab, including females. Eventually, I noticed that I did more work when my coworkers were asking me to help them out with their job because I was efficient and had extra time. I asked for a raise or to be put on an easier project. My boss said no because I made sure things were done on time, and I was the only one who could actually do all the work. I decided to do the exact same amount of work as the co-worker that makes the next lowest amount of money. So it's still more than me, but also pretty low. When I started doing this, I started getting behind in my work and had a meeting with my boss. We all send daily updates to the team, so I pulled out my co-worker's daily updates and my daily updates and showed him that they were exactly the same. I'm on a different project, but it takes the same amount of time to do the same work. It's just that my project is more intensive. I asked to be bumped up to that co-worker's salary, and if I was bumped up, I would do more work. He said no. I went to HR, they said talk to him. I talked to his boss, who told me to talk to him, who said no. He stopped complaining about being behind and asked my project manager to help me out on my project. He ended up being utterly useless, acting like a child when I explained I was done with work and showed him my co-worker's previous daily update, and explained that's all I got paid to do, so that's all I'm doing. He basically just stalked me to watch what I was doing. But my boss only wanted proof I was actually in the lab, not that I was doing work. I decided to amp it up. My next lowest paid co-worker made 12% more than me, so I did 12% less than him. Now I still have all my previous skills, so I would just sit myself at a computer and just play games or whatnot for the remainder of my shift. It drove him up a wall, especially 'cause that's all I could do in the rules, so if he asked me to not do that, I had email chains between him and I about where and what I could do during breaks. We had required 2 15-minute breaks on the clock and an off-the-clock lunch. However, we can't use our phone in the lab. Most chairs were in dirty bioasterisks areas and clean chairs were limited, and it'd be rude to move those. But sitting on the floor in the locker room was unprofessional. We could use our phones in offices, but we couldn't take breaks in there because we'd be a distraction. The building was huge and had one break room up to 3 to 4 minutes to walk to from my lab, and breaks were 15 minutes total, so that was useless. I tried sitting in the hall, but creepy guys kept coming by once they figured out my routine. So I'm taking my breaks in the lab on the lab computer, but it's 15 minutes uninterrupted. If you get asked a question or interrupted in any way, then you restart your 15 minutes. There was no way I was going to be in the lab and it'd be quiet and I wouldn't get interrupted. Especially if I went down the BuzzFeed quiz black hole. Everyone wanted to go at it as well, so I could take my 15-minute breaks in the lab and get them to last 2 hours within the rules. I was in the lab the whole time, and since my PM was keeping an eye on me, I could turn around and ask if he needed anything since he kept passing by, then start my timer back. Anyway, I got away with it long enough to find a new job, especially since I applied to jobs on the clock. I quit and am now making 45% more in salary, and now they are over 1,750 samples behind, which is 2 weeks' worth even for me. A month at their current rate, I never got more than 400 samples behind at my laziest, and that almost broke my laziness, because I actually have an all-right work ethic. Upper management, meaning 2 or 3 people above his boss, are now getting involved to see why the samples are so far behind, and action is taken to look into what can be done. I am friends with 2 of my old co-workers. One apologized to me and said he thought I was lazy and not doing my work. But now it's even affecting him since 2 people were taken off his team to replace me, and I am no longer organizing and cleaning. Messiness gives me extreme panic, so I always organized. Just didn't let my boss know, and now my old co-worker can't find anything 'cause nothing is where it belongs. The other one passed my boss and said, "Bet you wish you just gave her the $2 per hour she asked for." And he made a nervous laugh but didn't say anything. TLDR, lots of nuanced things, but I did more and was paid less, so I lowered my productivity to that of my coworkers. Was not fired, was not given a raise either. I got a new job that pays me more than I asked for, and my old company is a month behind schedule and is having upper management step in.
Need me to clean your oven, no problem. This happened to me when I was a field tech for a commercial restaurant repair company. The company charged $110 per hour, port to port, meaning from the time I left the shop till I returned. Being from the Southwest, I resemble much of the BOH staff, and working on ovens, I was usually dirty as well. On this particular day, the chef had called in a service call for a convection oven that wasn't working, and I had just finished ordering the parts, when some top brass from the front office came in the kitchen to harass the BOH staff, I suppose. One dude in a pair of khakis and a button-up asked me why the ovens were as dirty as they were, and I said, "Got no idea." "Well, you need to get them cleaned up." Now, usually I would have told him to kiss my ass and walk out, but this particular day I decided to help him out, so I stayed a couple of hours and cleaned up his oven. At $110 an hour. Of course, he disputed the invoice and threatened not to pay, but I had parts on order for another piece of equipment, and if you don't pay, I don't come back and put your shit back together, so yeah, he paid.
What was that room number again, sir? Not sure what my wife was reading, but it reminded her of an incident that she told me to share. I was a captain at the time and had been assigned as chief of security for an Army hospital. So, as the lingo goes, when the calls came down, I was Dr. Strong. I was in my office, though, when a LTC lieutenant colonel came in. "Hey there, Captain. Need you to take care of an issue for me." "Of course, sir. If it is within my area and power, I'll see what I can do." Well, the general's driver's wife is in the maternity ward having just had her baby, and she has a problematic roommate. Always closing the curtain and blocking her line of sight to the window. Also messing with the TV. I need this woman moved to another room. That's definitely outside my area of control, sir. I don't oversee or control anything with patients unless it is an issue of security, safety, or... Yes, I know, but you know everyone. And the doctors and nurses will listen to you more than me. You're one of them now, and they rely on you. Really? I know, no promises. This would really make the general happy, though. His driver is like a second son to him, so I would really owe you. It's room number XYA. Just give it your best for a fellow infantryman, okay? Breath deep. Wait a minute. What room number again, sir? He smiled. XYA. Roger, sir. I'll look into it and do my best. I've got a couple favors I might be able to use. A standing thanks. And he left. So on up I went to maternity to find the head nurse. She was not pleased, as apparently the LTC had been up there earlier trying to sling his weight around, and came to find me when it had no effect. I pointed out the room, though, and she smiled. We both chuckled a little bit, and I asked, "So, can you help me out with making this all be good, please?" Giving me a big friendly smile. "Well, the corner room is open. We could move the bothersome lady in there, though she will likely have a new roommate later today. Then again, once the bed is clean and reset, we will likely be putting another lady in with the driver's wife, too. Matter of fact," he paused, looking over files, "it will probably be Mrs. Hispanic lady having her fourth kid. She was likely to be going in the corner room, but with the move, she would have to go in with the driver's wife." Well, if that's how it has to be, as long as we can accommodate the LTC's request. Head nurse. Okay, but you are helping move the lady out of the room. Yes, ma'am, of course. The lady who had been causing such disturbances for the driver's wife was quite calm and gave no issues with the move, nor even asked any questions. I called the LTC once it was done and made sure to tell him I had no concrete knowledge if or when a new roommate might be moved into the room, but that the staff was really not happy with the move and extra work. He thanked me, and I never heard anything of it again. The entertaining part of the whole thing, the bothersome lady who got the room with the better view, a woman who had kept closing the curtain for some privacy and turning down the loud crap the driver's wife kept putting on the TV, was my wife, who had just had our first kid. Edit. Okay, wow. I did not expect this to blow up like this. Worked nights and went to bed only to return and find it had exploded. Thank you all so much. I'm glad so many of you enjoyed. And I will try to respond as much as I can, but there are over 200 comments, so if I miss yours, I'm sorry. Second edit from my wife. I've been instructed to stop trying to apologize and explain things to the folks calling out the term Hispanic as racist. My wife is from Little Havana in Florida. She said, if the deleted think it is racist, Then they probably have some bigoted and racist issues of their own to deal with, and need to go to confession and deal with their shit. So from now on, all such posts will receive a go-see editor response if I run across them. I might also let you know this is here just to give you the additional information if you don't fit the aforementioned category. Anyone else is also free to give such posts the same response reply. That being said, and this may get me in trouble, what was meant was that she had a large and supportive family who were all present and would bring hell down on little Miss Princess, especially with all the bored kids running around.
It can suggest new voices in the comments.